A very good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Daily Record Hotline Live. I have with me in the studio the real life Craig Swan, not some COVID guy in the end of a laptop. And I'm delighted with it. Craig, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Not too bad. I'm a real life person.
Yeah, you shouldn't be in here though. I should be self-isolating because of whatever I've brought back from Zagreb with me. I think travelling with the Tartan Army should carry a health warning.
Yeah, well,
I could be on the way out.
Whatever it is you've caught, pass it on. We week off, I'm not going to miss.
And we're also joined by Fraser Wilson. Fraser, good evening.
Live for the back cave. Hello, guys. How you doing?
You just stay down there. Where is it again? Back and beyond?
Aye. I'll not tell you. Don't want you to come and chat on the door.
Aye, it doesn't want crowds outside.
Guys, right, let's start with last night. We talked before Scotland-Portugal. We kind of were hoping realistic expectations, I think. We weren't demanding that we suddenly get a win from an unrealistic fixture. Just wanted another strong performance, another sign that we're moving in the right direction. You two guys were there. I enjoyed it. It was a different type of Scotland performance. It was a gritty, robust, resilient Scotland, as opposed to, not quite as attack-minded as we have been in the last few games. But the game and the way the Portugal played it sort of dictated how we had to react. I enjoyed it, Craig.
Yeah, I think it's important to make that point. I don't think it was the fact that Scotland did anything terrifically different to the previous three games. I just think it was the quality of the Portuguese. What I really liked about Scotland last night was their determination to keep trying to do the right things. All the time. There was a period at the start of the second half where they kept trying to be progressive and move it out and pass it out properly from the back. Right from the start of the game, Billy Gilmour and Kenny McLean were coming and demanding it off the back four. This will not be shelled. And they were prepared to run the risk of being sacked in there. And it happened on 2 or 3 occasions. And at the start of the second half, I think it happened 3 times. Andy Robertson lost the ball, Ben Doak lost the ball, Kenny McLean lost the ball. And you're thinking, right, are they going to panic now and start to just shell it because it's causing a problem? They didn't do it. And when you're looking at Scotland doing that against Portugal, you know you're going to get your pocket picked now and again, and they're good enough that they'll come and rob you. But you're looking at that game, and everything that we're talking about is about the World Cup qualifiers. You're then thinking about if a Cyprus come to Hampden, or if a Finland come to Hampden, if that's the way you're going to play, that's where you're going to get your success. Because when Scotland played in the nation, right back at the start of Steve Clarke's reign when they played Israel, we were shelling balls up to Lyndon Dykes.
That's true.
In those games, and we ended up putting the Israelis out on penalties to get through before the Serbia game. So we look as though we're better equipped for that type of game. Last night was almost the perfect way to get a result against a big gun. They defended with resilience, with courage, had to ride their luck a couple of times. But don't forget they created 2 amazing chances. Scott McTominay's got a great chance with a header.
Should score it.
And Tony Ralston's...
Would usually score it. 9 times out of 10 he'd score it.
Tony Ralston's done brilliantly to get away, and he's just overhit it out of reach for Scott McTominay.
Half a yard, wasn't it?
Half a yard. I mean, and in that situation, it's all ifs and buts. But Scott McTominay puts that away. You're looking at, especially the second one. The first one, because the same thing happened in Lisbon. They scored in the same minute. It would have given the Portuguese maybe a different... They may have gone about things slightly differently. May have made it slightly more difficult for Scotland. I don't know. Possibly not. But if the second one goes in from Ralston, that looks like the ideal international performance against a top nation.
Yeah. Fraser, do you agree? Did you enjoy yourself?
I did. And do you know what? It was just brilliant to see a packed Hampden really appreciating the effort that the team had put in at the end. Nobody left early. It was tense right to the death. And everyone's there almost celebrating what was a really, really, really hard-earned point in the first point of the campaign. I suppose coming at it for the other side, for Swanee, I just loved, as you said, the determination, the defending. And as they got deeper and as the game wore on and the waves of attack intensified, it sometimes became just throwing your body on the line. And I love that.
Yeah, the Nicky Devlin block late on exemplified it, didn't it? A guy coming off the bench to win his first cap, threw himself. Yes. Big John Souttar was tremendous all night.
Absolutely. Him and Grant Hanley, I think, deserve special praise. Grant Hanley's hardly playing a minute for Norwich, and then he gets flung
2 minutes. He said 2 minutes.
There you go then. And he gets flung in against a Portuguese front line that contains the quality of Diogo Jota, Cristiano Ronaldo, who I'm sure you'll be coming on to later. Who's another side?
Special mention for Anthony Ralston as well, I think. Fraser,
Aye.
I thought some of his performance defensively last night was terrific.
Grant Hanley, could live to regret that one moment of madness in the 96th minute against Poland that could, who knows, ultimately cost us third spot in this Nations League group. But apart from that blip, I think he's had a very good Nations League against some top strikers.
Clarke loves him, didn't he?
Positionally, he was excellent. Shut down space. He still has a turn of pace when it's needed. Strong in there. I don't think he put a foot wrong, and I think he really does deserve praise because sometimes he's a fall guy, isn't he? So praise where it's due. Him and Suter were immense, I thought.
Agreed. You mentioned Ronaldo, and I remember being in Lisbon for the away leg of this double header, and I kind of mentioned before the game I thought it was bad news for us that Ronaldo didn't start. I was hoping that he would start because I think he's not, I'm not going to say the guy's a busted flush just yet. He's not far off it, and I think he makes them slower, more ponderous. I think he's actually becoming, stupid thing to say, I realise that for a guy the amount of goals he scored, but I think he's becoming quite predictable to play against if you're a defender. I think he looks as if he's certainly a lot easier to play against than he was 5 years ago, and I think we benefited from that last night.
Possibly. I thought there was a couple of interesting aspects to it in the sense of how other teammates react to him and maybe how he impacts on other players, maybe younger players. When he throws his arms in the air and he complains and the ball wasn't delivered exactly the way I wanted it, if it's a younger player with not as many caps, you wonder if they get cowed by that. I don't know. Listen, everything Roberto Martinez says and the previous management said was he's an inspiration. I'm sure he is.
He's a spoiled brat.
But you listen to, I was listening to an interview with Rob Page earlier this week. And he was talking about the influence of Gareth Bale when he went in with Wales. And he said that Gareth Bale was the one who led, we are all equal. As soon as we come in this door, we are all equal.
Yeah.
And
some are more equal than others.
He pushed that. You don't get the impression when Cristiano Ronaldo's
no
throwing
chance.
his arms in the air and complaining.
I'm taking every free kick for a kick-off.
Yeah.
Right? I'll take every corner. I'll do what I want to do. I'll play what I want to
In fairness, Gareth Bale could do that as well. He kind of did everything. But the point I was getting to was there was a moment in the second half. Portugal had made some changes, and Bernardo Silva was one of the guys who came on. And a ball didn't come in, and Cristiano Ronaldo did the obligatory throw the arms up in the air, start complaining Bernardo Silva. And Bernardo Silva gave him a look that a senior player can maybe only give him, as if, all right,
that'll be enough now, Cristiano.
Settle down.
By the way, you've been rotten.
You just wonder if all of them can do that, and I don't know if they can.
I think he's a disruptive influence. I really do.
I think he might be in some of the younger boys.
See his attitude at the end. That was embarrassing. The guy's an embarrassment. In fact, no wonder he was playing in kiddies' shoots at swimming pools and all that. That's what he is. He's a big child. And his reaction at the end of that game was outrageous. See, rather than just going, shake a few hands, swap a jersey, he's got to make it all about himself. I honestly, and it astonishes me that there's still this argument, Messi or Ronaldo. It's not even a contest.
No. The great comedy of all was it wasn't as if he didn't have chances.
No.
But he had plenty of chances.
He blazed them over the bar.
Messed them up. So,
did you enjoy that at the end? Did you enjoy watching him throw his dummy out the pram?
I've enjoyed it that much. I've watched it back about 10 times on Twitter. Sensational. I mean, I was going to say it, but you got
it's up there with Rodri's tears, isn't it? It's up there with Rodri's tears.
I think that still eclipses it because we got to win that night. But I was going to say it myself. I mean, the Waynes turned out to see him in Paisley and on Monday night, and then 24 hours later, he's playing by playground rules, isn't he? It was just embarrassing. His finishing was horrendous. The amount of chances he blazed over the bar when he could have slipped somebody in. But no, Charlie McGrew called it as well, didn't he? When actually, don't know if you saw that bit of commentary. Yeah, when he went to control the ball, missed it, and all he did was kind of stamp his foot down, and it looked like he was starting the motorbike.
It was brilliant from Charlie McGrew.
It was a good goal.
Tremendous.
What's he doing? Starting the motorbike.
Yeah.
But again, in that instance, his own fault, and he chases after the referee, waving his arms in there. I mean, what is he complaining about?
Pathetic. By the way, that referee gave us nothing. So he's got a cheek to go complaining to the referee. He gave us nothing all night. Yeah. Anyway, here's William Logan watching live on X, formerly known as Twitter. Ronaldo's the best player in the world, spoilt brat or not. He's the best, you bunch of amateurs. I'm glad that was amateurs that he finished that off with. Could have been something else. Well done, William. Keep it clean. Well, completely disagree. He's not in the same league as Lionel Messi, and I think anybody that knows anything about football knows that to be true.
Game of opinions, Keith.
Getting a few comments coming in live from our viewers. Remember, folks, you can contact us on YouTube, on X, Facebook. Excuse me while I just die here. I've just coughed up a bit of a lung. Yeah. Blue Nose John, fella, will the Scotland fans ever realise that Rangers players are out there doing their best for them and stop booing them? Was John Souttar getting booed last night?
No, I know.
I think they're mistaken with Ronaldo getting booed. I didn't hear a single boo again.
Was Ronaldo side for Rangers?
I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything but applause for.
Well, he'll have to take
for
his
John
place
Souttar and Grant Hanlon
behind Cyril Dessers in that performance last night.
Right, and we've got Rangers Easy OK, a regular. He's watching on YouTube live. John Souttar was immense last night and was good on Saturday in Croatia. He had a really good start to the season for us and country. I agree with that. I think John Souttar has been, and I'm pleased for him because he's come through so many bad moments in his career with terrible injuries, and you kind of looked at him and go, are you ever going to get a run of games? He's getting a run of games, and he's showing what we all thought he would show if and when his body didn't let him down, and he was able to get a sustained run of action. Swan, he looks absolutely top class. I'd go as far as to say he looks like our best central defensive option at this minute.
And that was what people tipped him to be
back
in the day when he came through. And yeah, he's had these problems. You just hope for John Souttar's sake, as you've alluded to, Keith, that he can now continue this. Not another 3-4 weeks and then breaking down and something going wrong. For his sake and for Scotland's sake, for Rangers' sake, obviously, as well. He's obviously a top-class defender. And he showed it last night. Some of the blocks, some of the positional play. Mm-hmm. Really, really, really good.
And a great strength as well. He's fast over the ground and he uses the ball well.
I was going to say he can pass it, and the way Steve Clarke
through the lines,
Steve Clarke wants to play, and he's trying to get them to play now. There is absolutely no point in having Billy Gilmore or Kenny McLean coming and demanding the ball off the back foot if somebody can't get it there. As simple as it looks, it's not. You pass it the wrong weight. There was one last night that got passed out to Scott McTominay, which made him kind of stretch. He ended up getting a booking for it.
That's right.
And they were almost caught 25 yards for their own goal. It looks simple, just rolling it in there, but there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
Put it on the right side of the player where he wants it, so he can get in the half turn, that kind of thing. Souttar looks as though he can do that kind of thing.
Okay, Fraser, what did we make of Ben Doak last night? First start at Hampden.
I think it just shows why you've got to be patient with him. Mm-hmm. Remember, he's only 18. We definitely saw flashes of what he's going to bring to the party, what he's all about, that burst of pace. There was one thing that stuck out in the second half was when he did get away from, my memory for who got booked at the end of it. Second half, he got away from his man and was bore down in the Portuguese box, and maybe 25 yards out. That was it. You got the legs taken away from him, and that's what he's all about. That's what he'll bring. But other than maybe linking with Andy Robertson in the first 4 minutes for that Scott McTominay chance, actually, where Robertson put the ball in, he didn't really get in many good positions in an attacking sense. Played very much in the back foot, and he'll learn from that, obviously. But I mean, he's up against top quality opposition, so thought he found it difficult last night, but the crowd were patient with him. And I think Steve Clarke said we've got to manage him.
Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there, Fraser. Steve Clarke said, let's listen to what Steve Clarke said.
For such a young man to be asked to go again, it was a decision where I was weighing up in my mind whether to keep Ben for 30 minutes at the end, like Roberto did with Leao. But for me, he did so well in the game on Saturday that I thought it was better to start him and then see how long he took before he got too tired, and then I had to take him off. But the changes that we made also helped the team a lot. It's fantastic. First cap for Nicky, a moment to remember, because basically he got his point with that block. He brave, put himself in. I had no doubts putting Nicky into the game. He's trained really well. He's fitted into the group. He's got good experience. 30 years of age now, a lot of games under his belt. So, I knew when Tony was ready to come off that Nicky would be fine, and he was. Yeah, the fans can be nervous in a game like that when the opposition have so much possession in front of you. you're always thinking that they're going to create a big chance. When they did create the big chance, Craig made the save, which is first time in a long time I've celebrated a goalkeeper save. I've stand talking to John and actually celebrated it. So it meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to everybody in the stadium, because that's what gets you the point. You have to. We spoke before the game about doing all the dirty stuff, the hard work, the ugly stuff, if you like, and the boys did that fantastic tonight. What I've always said about Craig, ultimate professional, determined to play as long as he can, and you see that tonight with his performance, still performing at a very high level for his club and now for his country again. So now we're delighted to have him back in the squad.
Just one thing can I add, Keith, on Ben Doak, just before you move on.
Yeah.
We've been talking about instances and little signs and little things that we can see in the game. That instance I spoke about earlier when Ben Doak, he kind of ran up a blind alley 5 or 10 minutes into the second half, lost the ball, Portugal got a chance, and Grant Hanley gave him one earful. Seriously. But 5 minutes later, he got it back, Ben Doak, and went at somebody else again. Didn't go into his shell. He didn't. I know we've heard all this stuff about his goalless and blah, blah, blah. But that was the evidence that he's not going to.
Oh, listen, I'm
when something happens, you know.
I'm having the ball.
I like
all day
that
long.
As much as anything he did on the ball. The attitude, I like that he just didn't fold.
I'm having him all day long.
Yeah.
You know, Fraser says he's 18.
Yeah.
This is only his second start in a Scotland shirt. He's just going to get better.
As we said last night, he's not
start
played a
to
lot.
fill the jersey.
He's not played a lot this season either.
Yeah.
By the time the next camp comes, he'll probably have played 4 or 5 games for Middlesbrough.
I'm just thinking there, listen.
See
Steve
how hard
Clarke.
that game is last night. I would love to see him go up against much lower ranked opposition, because he could tear them apart. It's a
Fraser,
two very difficult games.
That's a key point, is that he's going to be better for Scotland when Scotland are more of the ball.
Yes.
We didn't see a lot of the ball last night. We weren't in the final third very much. Ben Doak's going to be a key player when we're playing against lesser opposition and we need to try and unlock defences. That's when he'll come into his own. But that doesn't mean that he hasn't got a role to play against the better teams, because we've seen the potential there for, he's an out ball. He can go and carry the ball 30, 40 yards, take a breather for the defence. He's going to be invaluable going forward. So, again, Craig, I completely agree with you. I think we've seen more than enough from the first 2 games to feed into the sort of belief that there are big days, big games, big occasions, big moments ahead in Ben Doak's Scotland career. Let me just go back to some of the comments here. In fact, we've got one that relates very much to what we were talking about earlier there. Graham Brown and D. I was delighted for Craig Gordon keeping a clean sheet against that spoiled brat Ronaldo. CR7 is a busted flush, but Craig Gordon is Scotland's number 1 all over again. Now, that's a good point. Is he? Is that it? Has he done enough? Is he in for keeps? And the reason I say that is Steve Clarke just said there, first time I've celebrated a goalkeeper making a save in ages. Well, that was Angus Gunn. I might take that personally.
That would have been one gut punch too many, a goal in the last minute. But I'll leave this one to the goalkeeper, Fraser.
But do you know what I'm saying? Does that mean that we've not had many saves to celebrate over the last wee while?
Well, I think it was just the timing, wasn't it, after what happened in the previous games? But yeah, it was massive. Fraser.
Wasn't just Clarke. I nearly knocked Swan off his seat celebrating that, Steve. As I said, I thought it was yet another last-minute kick in the goalies. I couldn't believe it. But see, the instincts, the sharpness for a 41.5. In fact, no, it'll be 42 in December. To flop down in that ball as quickly as he did and recover it, because he didn't get it first time. It was incredible. Yeah, he made 2 good saves in the first half as well. I think, to answer your question, he's in possession of the shirt now. He's been doing fine with Hearts, even though they've been losing. He's superb last night. What a clean sheet that is. It's his shirt to lose. He's got to start next month. He's got to. I mean, Angus Gunn, I think we all agree, has looked... He's not been at 100% for Scotland recently. There always seems to be a goal with a big question mark over it. Seems to be when he's at full length into the bottom corner, he doesn't have strong enough wrists, strong enough shoulder to keep it out. So exactly the type of saves that Craig Gordon makes. So I think it's a no-brainer. He stays in. What a story his career's been. There's a cracking book in Craig Gordon, I tell you.
Here we go. A comment from Gianni Demal, who has an excellent restaurant in the south side of Glasgow, which we've discussed previously. Conceição, excellent, Keith. Yes, Gianni, thanks for your contribution. Swanee, Craig Gordon, is he your first pick now
I think
he stays in goal for the next one.
I think he has to, yeah. I think the problem that we have, not the problem we have, the problem is we're building everything towards the World Cup and the prospect of qualifying for the World Cup. You're looking where Craig Gordon is going to be in his career when that World Cup finals come around. But maybe in one or two instances, you can be short term. And I think this position's one of the ones where you can be. Do you know what? Let's have the goalkeeper that makes sure we get there, and we'll deal with the finals when we get to the finals. I think there are certain positions where you experiment. I think in crucial qualifiers, if Craig Gordon's going to make saves like that, even if it's for the first 40, he's the number one now. If it has to be.
That is the point, isn't it? He's saving efforts on goal, which he's got no right to be saving, whether he's 21 or 41.
Yeah. Well, the first goal in Lisbon was Bruno Fernandes.
Yes, from outside the box, and Angus Gunn was suspect.
Bruno Fernandes again last night, in the last minute.
Yeah.
He saves it. So does Craig Gordon save that one in Lisbon? It's still 1-0 wicket. Ifs and buts again.
It is ifs and buts. But by the way, I don't want to kick the life out of Angus Gunn.
I don't think anyone is. But
I do think his confidence has suffered a little bit.
Yeah.
And Craig Gordon is just uber confident, isn't he? He's he believes that he's the best keeper there.
The bottom line is, who should be number one next month? I think Craig Gordon's performance last night tells you it's got to be him.
Yeah. Right, okay, some more comments. Jim McLean from Rossi. We are now hailing a 0-0 draw as a victory against a poor Portugal team. The bottom line is 1-1 in 16 games, time to go, Steve. Oh, come on, turn it off.
Listen, see, we touched on this last night.
Come on now.
And we touched on nuance and people and fans have, trying to gauge who we've been up against and who we've been playing.
Poor Portugal side.
I know. I mean,
it's just
stupid. Go through that team sheet. It's ridiculous. But I mean, we as I say, we touched on it a wee bit last night, Keith. But you look at the team. Scotland have come up into this top echelon. You look at the other countries that have come up from the B groups. Scotland are no different from anyone else. Israel have come up from the B groups into the A groups. No points from the 4 games. Bosnia came up 1 point from the 4 games, the same as us. Okay, Serbia are the ones who have won a game. Out of 16 games involving the 4 countries, they've at least won one. But you even look at, the Euros.
That's a great start, actually. 16 games.
Well, it was 4 each they've all had, so and Serbia are the only one that have won a game.
So 1-1 in 16.
Yeah.
Same as Scotland's record.
But we talked long over the Euros about Switzerland. I think Steve Clarke even said they're a benchmark country. Switzerland have got 1 point from 4 games.
Yeah.
This isn't an outlier. This isn't unusual. Yet it seems to be that Scotland are getting beaten by this, and I don't understand why. I get it that it can be black and white sometimes with results, but you surely have to look beyond that. Look at who you're playing, and take on board what Steve Clarke said over a year ago. He said, "I don't care about my own personal record. It's going to be stuffed by my attempt to make the team better." And that's why he took on the teams that he did. And we're now paying the price for us getting to...
The friendlies before the Euros was a mistake. And I think that he would acknowledge that now. Certainly Andy Robertson did.
Yeah, in terms of maybe damaging morale going into the Euros. But I'm quite sure the experience he's gathered in those games have helped him in the games, helped the performances go up in the games we've just had, and then you hope the games we've just had bring it up again. That is the whole plan, surely.
Okay, YNWA 188... I think I know what's coming next. He's watching live on YouTube. Steve Clarke is no the man for the job. His tactics are too predictable. I couldn't disagree with that more. Steve Clarke's completely changed his tactical blueprint strategy since the summer, and I genuinely wonder now if some fans have just reached the point where they've had enough. They just want change for the sake of change.
That happens with all managers.
It does.
This happens with all managers. It becomes a shelf life. People get bored.
Yeah.
The Hearts fans are bored that their new manager and he's not even at the game yet.
Well, let's see how that one pans. Let's see how that one pans out over the next wee while. Anyway, we think we've got problems. Here's the thing, right? See, over the last 48 hours, I've kind of had, how they call it earworm? You get a tune in your head, and you wake up with it, and you've got a tune, and you can't. Am I having a mental episode here?
I didn't know it was earworm, but
that's what they call it, I think.
Okay.
It is. I'll back you up. That's what it is, because I suffer that every blooming night.
But you know what I've had in my head the last 2, and I can't. I'm thinking, where's this come from? The Pink Panther, the theme of the Pink Panther.
I don't know where this is going.
I'll tell you where it's going in a wee second, right? Because I now know what it is. In fact, Swanee, if you look back through history, there is this thing with German managers who look like sort of cartoon characters.
Okay.
I'm thinking Felix Magath, for example. He was Penfold out of Mighty Mouse, wasn't he?
Oh my.
And then you had wee Bertie Votes, looked a bit like Basil Brush.
Why didn't anyone tell me Comedy Corner was coming tonight?
But here's the thing.
Right.
The Pink Panther has just been announced as England's new manager.
Okay.
Hit or sweat.
Come on, that's not just me, is it? He does look like the Pink Panther.
Move on.
Fraser, have you got my back
I'm with
here?
you. Ah, with you. That's a cracker, aye.
The Pink Panther, and I thought that when he was at Chelsea as well, so now it's going around my head. But anyway,
I think the Pink Panther would be a more popular choice among some of the England supporters, to be honest.
I think, listen, we all like a good laugh, and I'm having a right good laugh about the mess that England are getting themselves into over the appointment of Thomas Tuchel. It was day one today, his press conference, he's getting asked about his passport, he's getting asked will he sing the national anthem. He didn't answer if he'd sing the national anthem. That did for Lee Carsley. They're kicking lumps out of him. They are in a state of absolute meltdown. They've just signed, by the way, one of the best managers in Europe, and they're throwing a fit about it. It's good fun to watch, isn't it? It's a popcorn sort of a thing.
Certainly
Popcorn on the Pink Panther.
Yeah, there was always a feeling that this wasn't going down a good road for England with the Lee Carsley and even the contradiction in his words.
Lee
following
Carsley's
the 2
all over
weekend
the shop. I
games.
felt
It
a
was
bit
just-
sorry for him.
I
Almost.
don't know what was going on there, and he wanted the job. He was useless, and I'm not taking the job, and I don't deserve it. And then, I might take it if I get it. And it was all very odd.
What we need is a top class manager who's won a lot of trophies.
Yeah.
Do you want the job, Lee? Maybe.
Which isn't me. And then he said after the next game, well, maybe. Well, I might. But listen, I think you come back to the perfect point. As if you take away all the nonsense, Thomas Tuchel is a top class coach, but you just feel like he's just not going to be accepted.
I think he's just walked into the wrong movie.
It's just not going to be accepted, is it?
Yeah.
It's a very quick couple of bad result here, and there's just not going to be any tolerance level, and that's the problem.
Fraser, you know what I found astonishing? My tolerance level's low, right? And I'll tell you why. Because on day one, he walks into a press conference. He's only signed an 18-month contract, and he has one job, and it will be failure. This is what they've said. It's a failure if he does anything other than win the World Cup. The arrogance involved in this is absolutely gobsmacking.
Try telling Thomas Tuchel's bank card that's failure.
Aye, well, exactly. But, I mean, he's fed into it, isn't he? You know, my aim is to put a second star on the shirt.
He's got to say that.
I think somebody at the FA must have put a gun to his head and told him to say that. Why would you walk into a situation and say, yeah, I'm going to win the World Cup?
For 7 million reasons, I would have thought.
Fraser, I mean, I know that you get a bit het up about this sort of stuff. I would have loved to have seen your face when you saw that Thomas Tuchel has already declared that he's winning the next World Cup.
Well, I'll surprise you. That's the first I've heard of that statement. Is that true?
Oh, aye, it's true. Aye,
Is
aye.
that
That's
what
what he's
you
here to
said,
do. Aye, that's the whole point. That's the whole
Okay.
point. It's the only reason he's here, to win the World Cup.
Well, England
So,
think they're
that's
going to win
nice.
it every time, don't they? Every 4 years, England think they're going to win it.
Do they have a better chance with Thomas Tuchel than they did with Gareth Southgate? That's the question that, looking through a Scottish lens, we need to worry about.
Well, the players are no better, are they? They fluked their way to
Oh, but they're not bad.
Euros finals this summer. No, not with that group of players. No
It's funny
chance.
though, isn't it? As much of that narrative around Gareth Southgate very similar to the narrative around Steve Clarke at the time. You know, it was all basically he's not taking the handbrake off, we're not utilising the attacking players the way we should be. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. That was the complaint about Gareth Southgate.
Yeah.
And the similar complaint to what Steve Clarke faced in Germany. So the vibe seems to be that Steve. Well, we've discussed it long and loud that Steve Clarke is changing the way he's going about it, and we're seeing some progress. If Thomas Tuchel can find a way to deploy the likes of Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, then maybe I don't see it
Maybe he
myself.
asked Lee Carsley to do that for him.
Yeah, I think England are always guilty of overinflating their own players. I think that's something that always happens. But I would say they've probably got a better chance with Thomas Tuchel, than they did with Gareth Southgate.
He's managed big egos, and he's managed big players, and he's had success at major success at 3 of his clubs is tried and tested at club level.
Hold on here. Has he had sustained success? Or has he had fleeting success?
It's a managerial thing these days, though, isn't it? It's all short term, bang bang now, isn't it? I mean, I think your Klopps and that are kind of becoming a dying breed. That 9 years, and I don't think that's going to happen as much now. Klopp and Guardiola are probably like the final ones that we're going to see. With that, I think, man, if you look around Europe, they kind of move on quite quickly. Obviously, Ancelotti at Real Madrid.
So it's like a Ramrey job, in and out, get the job,
I think
win the World Cup, and then go back to Germany.
Yeah, I think he's clearly been presented with a project of the World Cup soon. You know, it's less than 2 years. We want you to go and win that. Any manager at that level of his standard, let's not kid ourselves, Keith. They want to be in the club game. Mm-hmm. The club game is where it's at.
Yeah.
Somebody made a very good point.
So do you think he doesn't really want to be there already? He's just taking it because it's there?
I wouldn't go that far, but it was put to me that international football is absolutely second best for 23 months of every 2 years. There is 1 month where it becomes important.
Yeah, the World Cup.
So
Euros.
I'll deal with the next one, and then I'm out and I'm back to a club job. Yeah. Regardless of how he does in these finals for England, because of his stock and what he's done at his clubs, he'll walk into another big club job.
No, he will. He will, because he's on that elite merry-go-round now.
That's it.
Whether or not you actually rate him.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I'm really not. I mean, we'll wait and see. I do think that they're dangerously talented. I do think that they're gifted with world-class operators, especially middle to the final third. And I do think that makes them a dangerous, serious contender for major trophies. Yeah. I do believe as well that Gareth Southgate was part of the problem as opposed to part of the solution. I don't think that he knew how to put a winning team together. There was just something that just he just couldn't get that extra bit out
Keith,
of him.
do you not generally think that I find
and
that
I thank Gareth Southgate for that.
The major, and of course there will be ones where people will point out, well, it's not exactly the case, but generally speaking, these big tournaments are won by teams with solid, strong, good backbone and defences. And the one thing England don't have is top-class defenders. They don't have them. And one of the things that was put to me about Gareth Southgate was he didn't play so as many attacking players because he couldn't expose that back four.
Yeah.
When he was playing against bigger nations, he couldn't afford to do it. Now, did Lee Carsley not play all of them?
Yeah.
Exposed them, and he lost to, who was it, Greece?
Yeah.
Last week?
That was nice.
I don't think they have the defenders. Mark Gahey's obviously coming through and has got some quality, but is he at the level? Are we talking Desai, Carlos Puyol level
Harry
for these
Maguire.
English guys? I don't think so. And I don't think that England will win a tournament until Jordan Pitt. They don't have two top-class centre-halves and a top-class goalkeeper, in my opinion. They don't have them.
Yeah.
And they won't win anything until they get them.
Defensively, fullbacks is an issue as well.
Yeah.
So you're right.
So I don't think they
like
can...
building a house in the
I
foundations,
think if they
isn't it?
play the attacking players, you then expose the back line.
Fraser, there's an argument, right? And where are you on this? There's an argument that is almost cheating for a top nation like England to go and take a manager from another country. The international football, especially the elite countries, the big countries, the established countries, shouldn't be doing that. And it's a form of failure on the FA's side that they haven't been able to produce an Englishman who they believe to be capable of managing the English team. I think it's a fair point.
Look at the state of the Premier League, though. I mean, it's full of foreign managers. So you can go right back to that, can't you? I mean, who would be the best candidate that's English for that job? Is Lee Carsley the best candidate?
Well, are you talking about who's attainable or who you think the actual best is? I mean, I
Who
would
would
have
be
thought
the
Eddie
best
Howe would probably be the
that
best, but
Eddie-
whether he's attainable, I don't
Look
know.
at his job at Newcastle. It's hardly set.
Sorry, I'm assuming, Fraser, you're talking about an English candidate, yeah? If it was,
Yeah.
is that what you mean, yeah?
Yeah, who's the outstanding English candidate?
Yeah.
They don't have one because they don't produce good coaches.
Yeah.
There you go. So they've got to go abroad. So is it cheating?
No, they don't.
That's just the
They
modern
don't.
game.
They don't. They don't have to.
But we had this
They
discussion
choose to.
discussion last night, Keith, watching Portugal. For a country that's, produced Jose Mourinho, and you've got Nuno Espirito Santo, and, the lad that, I don't want to butcher his name, but at Sporting Lisbon,
Yeah.
Ruben Almiron. They've obviously got a fantastic quota of young coaches. I was surprised. I didn't think not got anything against Roberto Martinez, but I didn't think he got the best out of that Belgium golden generation.
No, he didn't.
They should have won something, and he walked into a job with Portugal.
Again, Tuchel, he's got himself into
strange.
this elite roundabout merry-go-round.
strange. Portugal must have.
Here's William Logan. Hold on, Fraser. William Logan again, live on YouTube. The thing is, lads, England are a better team than Scotland, and we done the same by appointing Bertie Vogts. And look, William, how that turned it. And I'm hoping that this is Bertie Vogts Mark II.
Aye, I'd still get a shiver down the spine thinking about those 2 or 3 years.
You didn't have to deal with him. You didn't have to deal with that, man. You weren't there.
Tell us about it. What's the best?
No.
Not even going to open that door.
I remember something about our old colleague Craig MacDonald meeting him with a coffin at Glasgow Airport after the Moldova draw.
I did present him with one-way tickets back to Germany after a defeat in Cardiff.
Disrespectful.
He disrespected us, Swanee. It was a disgrace.
Oh, come off the hook, man.
But I do find it hard to get behind an international team, i.e. Scotland, when we have a foreign manager. You just want somebody that you, somebody you can actually believe in, you know. Steve Clarke, if Steve Clarke moves on, that's why I would straight away want Dennis McInnes to get the job.
You're touting him for every job. You need to wind that in a wee bit.
Pep Guardiola fancies playing golf at Cameron House and fancies the gig. You don't want him, come on. Maud Fraser, stop it.
Well, that's an interesting one. Pep says he wants the job, wants the Scotland job, loves it, loves Cameron House.
No, but seeing a serious note, see this argument that I heard it being brought up. I think it was brought up on one of the radio shows on Monday night, and I thought the gentleman who put it forward get actually torn down a wee bit unfairly. Should international football not be about the people from your country representing your country?
The best of your country.
I actually think that is an argument. I think it's an argument.
The only reason that I think...
I mean, how far back do you go? The bus driver and the physio and all that? I mean, I don't know, but I genuinely think everybody who's involved in a national team should be for that country.
Well, that's what national football was supposed to be about. I mean, I totally get it that, emerging countries in Africa and things like that, they kind of started breaking the mould because they wanted to improve, so they went and got like French coaches and I kind of course you understand that because they wanted to modernise, they wanted to take a more European influence. I don't really have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I kind of do have a problem with the older established.
But that comes back to your place there about, I mean, you're talking emerging nations would go 6 months before the World Cup after they qualified and get Goose Hiddink or someone like that. England are now doing the same.
Yeah,
does that show you where they are?
That's what it is.
That shows you where they are.
It's like,
shows you where they are.
That was the comic thing, boots for hire and all that. They've effectively got Tuchel and won us the World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean,
not a good sign.
He'll be chased out of the place because that will be seen then as failure to not win the World Cup. Anything less than winning the World Cup and the guys are dead.
Well, he said it.
Incredible set of circumstances. Just look, comments, lads. What we got here? John Bruce, Steve Clarke celebrating a save by his goalkeeper and drawing the game, which meant no wins for him in 16. Says it all about Scotland's manager. Right, okay, we don't need that.
Mine's are just made up with some, and that's perfectly fine. People are entitled to have their minds made up.
Joe Graham, Gara Hill, 1-1 in 16 games in domestic football would see the end of any first team coach. It's ironic that a Rangers player may have saved Steve Clarke's job. Suter man of the match. Suter was good. We've talked about it.
But again, we go in nuance. If Hearts or Aberdeen or Motherwell or St Mirren played Rangers and Celtic 16 times, how many times would they beat them?
Yeah, correct.
And that's the nations we are. That's the level, the difference. Not all the games, granted. Gibraltar, Northern Ireland, Finland were the three obvious ones. But two of them were pre-Euros when everybody's mind was on Germany, to be honest.
Yeah. Right, well, in domestic matters, a couple of things have come up over the last 24 hours. Celtic have appointed, it's a kind of well-known secret really, wasn't it, that Paul Tisdale is sort of self-described football doctor, has been got the gig as head of football operations. he's kind of been working without the title for a while, I guess. Swan.
Consultancy, yeah. Consultancy through the summer transfer window. Listen, it was obvious. Brendan Rodgers had alluded to it during the last transfer window that all the areas were going to be looked at, and it was going to be something that was going to be addressed. Obviously, Mark Law was gone at the beginning of the year, so it was a position, it was an area that was going to be filled. Obviously, it's the head of football operations is the title, but he's going to have an absolutely key input into the recruitment.
Well, it is a big job, isn't it, Fraser? It is a key job.
Aye, Rangers are just about to lose theirs. What is a head of football operations, Keith? Tell us. What?
I don't know.
Head of recruitment.
Pretty much whatever he wants to be.
Yeah, I've got a theory on this. I've got a theory on this, Fraser. I've got a theory on this. Listen, I might be totally wrong here, but I think if you call somebody just purely head of recruitment and the signings are terrible, he gets caned. So you call him head of football operations and put all manner of other things under the umbrella, and it's not just transfers, and then it's all. Then it's a wee bit more of a fire guard.
By the way, the transfer window was a shocker, but I love that new third kit.
Yeah,
good on him.
I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but.
It's certainly he talks the talk, and he talks. You know, he's had this sort of player development kind of as seems to be his area of expertise. You know, he talked, I think, when he was at Newcastle about seeing guys that might have young players that maybe went to, and you're looking at your Chelseas, aren't you? Big superpower clubs snapping up all these young kids. Maybe pay a couple of £1 million for a boy. 2 years down the line, the boy's hardly the kick in the first team, but he's worth. And Tisdale said it's like playing stocks and shares.
Yeah.
He says, and he would look at a player like that and say, well, that's an undervalued stock. And so, you know, you could go and get him for buttons, but he's still as good a player as he was 2 years ago. He just hasn't played a lot of football.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you'll see, Swanee, that'll be a sort of template for him, because it's not a bad template.
No, it's a brilliant template. If you can pull it off, it's an absolutely fantastic template. There's so many of those guys. You know, some of them reach. You know, some of them get to A level in their clubs where they're still not making it. I mean, I'll give you the example, Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
Was just not making it in Manchester. I mean, that's a higher example than what's because of the fee that he reached. But there's going to be boys of a lesser level who will be able to come in, and I think it's a fantastic template if you can identify the ones that no one else is seeing. I think that's a fabulous place to be. Celtic have to be able to mix it up. They have to be able to go and spend 8, 10, 11 quid, £1 million in your Engelses and guys like that. But also be able to tap into this and just keep that production line of sales going. It's just underpinning everything the club does.
100%. So while Celtic seem to be getting all their ducks in a row, Fraser, you mentioned it. Rangers continue to lose bodies left, right, and centre from all over the sort of a hierarchy, from Auchenhowie up to boardroom level. I think John Gilligan gave a statement today, the interim chairman, confirming that Craig Robertson is the latest one that's going to be leaving, which we all knew anyway. But he kind of reacted badly to suggestions that the club might have a leadership issue, said the caretaker chairman, who doesn't have a chief executive, who's just lost his football director. Need I go on?
No head of recruitment. No head of academy, no head of academy.
Yeah. So John Gilligan actually said, with Craig moving on, I have seen some reports of the club being without leadership. I can assure you that is not the case with George Letham and myself, who have a deep knowledge of business and of our great club, working tirelessly alongside our executive management team to continue to drive the club forward. All sounds very good. Niels Coppin, our Director of Football Recruitment, highlighted in an interview last week that planning for the January transfer window is well underway. Comical Alley, nothing to see here. I kind of feel a bit sorry for John Gilligan. He's front of house. He's having to put his head above the parapet here. He clearly is trying to connect with the Rangers fans, keep them informed. But the message just sounds a bit hollow, Craig.
He's got to say the right things, and he's trying to say the right things. But as is ever the case, the proof will be in what Rangers deliver and how they go about it in the next, even in the short term, the next 12 to 18 months. Trying to get this situation sorted, trying to get the right people in place in the proper places where they need them to be.
Well, even that one there, right? Niels Coppin, our Director of Football Recruitment, highlighted in an interview last week that planning for the January transfer window is well underway. That's not too far in the distant future.
Yeah.
If January transfer window doesn't go well, then that quote could come back to haunt John Gilligan, it'll come back to haunt Niels Coppin, and it will add to the sort of unrest among the supporters at the club, because it basically feels as if they're getting fed a line now.
And incidentally, Keith, planning for the January transfer window should start the January before.
Yeah.
So that's it's nothing to crow about. That should all be sorted anyway. So that should just be a matter of course.
John Gilligan goes on, of course, we are determined to fill the chairman and chief executive roles as quickly as possible, and our recruitment consultants have already produced shortlists of very strong and experienced candidates for both roles. And our recruitment consultants have already produced shortlists. This has been going on for months. Fraser, are you starting to get the opinion that, you know, sort of a fiddling while Rome burns here? I mean, none of it sounds very convincing, does it? No,
it's big time, isn't it? The fact of the matter is, there are going to be 4 leading bodies down in a matter of weeks. They've been searching for a CEO for five months, probably the most important position at a club. If he says they're lacking leadership, if he denies they're lacking leadership, then there's far too many people doubling up on important jobs. And that can only mean things are getting missed. So like you said, the fact they should be working 2 windows in advance, you've got to fear that they're miles behind in the recruitment plans for January, which is crucial to this season. Because if they're going to have any chance of catching Celtic, they have to have a really good, strong January window.
A good, strong January window.
Yeah, to be honest, I think already.
I think that ship sailed.
Yeah, it should be looking at next summer mainly, to be honest, and trying to get things.
Well, where would that leave Philippe Clement next summer?
Well, they've given him the contract and they said he's in for the long haul, and we're all in for it together.
And we are all in.
But that's
for it
the thing.
together.
But that's the thing that we touched on way back at the start of the season, and we discussed that again. It used the same phrase, long and loud. Rangers fans are going to have to accept that it's going to be rocky for a spell if they're going to get it working properly. There can be some short-termism to sort things out in January. That doesn't solve the long-term problems.
Yeah.
And if you empty a manager, it all starts again, and it's this rinse and repeat, this cycle again. We've talked about it. We've talked about it.
But again, and I'll come back to it, the key to that is that's fine if you're absolutely 100% stonewall convinced that the guy you've got in as manager is the man. Because if not, and you're tying yourself in to another period or cycle of regression.
Well, what was it was then saying that the extension contract that was dished out was just in some panic? They clearly do.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
Now that's not to say guys
100%. I'm saying that.
Right, okay,
I don't know why you wouldn't understand it. That's what I'm saying. It was 100% panic stricken by John Bennett, who was trying his very best
to show unity,
to send out good messaging. But I'm not convinced, and I think it was another panic-stricken move by a board which is getting frightened of its own shadow right now. Anyway, guys, it's getting late. We've got dinner to go and get. Fraser, thank you for joining us.
Cheers.
Thanks everybody for clicking on, for your comments, for getting in touch. Get in touch through the socials, X, Facebook, YouTube, and we'll be back tomorrow night to do it all again. Cheers.
Cheerio.